What are the top 10 things that most startup sportswear brands fail to do that actually puts them in a horrible position when it comes to standing out in the market and giving themselves the best possible chance to succeed? Well, my name is Shadi Al-Dada. I've been a sportswear designer for the last 10 years. I own an agency called Fittdesign. We work with brands from all over the world to help them design and develop their own collections. We've helped launch 1,000 brands over the last 7 years successfully. So I've learned a thing or two about what most startup sportswear brands do incorrectly, and I'm going to be sharing them in today's episode. So number one is the fact that most brands, they fail to create their MVP when it comes to their initial collection. What is an MVP? An MVP, in my opinion, is a minimum viable product. This is the product or the collection that they feel truly represents their brand vision and their brand ethos. Anything less than this MVP, anything less than this minimum viable product means that you're not delivering the true value, the true vision of the company. So there's no point in doing it altogether. The challenge here is many entrepreneurs, they either stick too closely to going above and beyond their MVP and they say, if I don't do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I will not launch. Or if I only do this, then there's no point in launching. Not realizing that sometimes having an MVP and just hitting that MVP, not more, not less, is just enough. The question here is, what is your MVP? So I'll give you a very clear example. Let's just say I am a headwear brand, and my focus with my headwear brand is to create a head that suits, or a hat that suits every single head shape. So I might come up with 4 or 5 key styles that suit maybe the 4 types of head shapes: oval, round, square, triangle. And then I want to say, maybe I only launch 2 of those headwears. Well, that's a problem because my brand's MVP is the fact that I have a specific hat for every single head shape. So I need to launch that MVP. But if I want to go above it, maybe I want to do 5 different styles or 3 different hats for each different head shape. And then I say, no, I shouldn't go ahead because it's too much money or it's too much of an investment. Well, in this case, you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot because you've already achieved your MVP. Maybe you need 1 product to launch your MVP, 1 product per specific head shape to launch your MVP. Then you're going above and beyond. Well, this puts you in a disadvantageous position because you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself and you're not even trying. Number 2 is that you ignore financial planning. You don't understand how much of an investment it's going to take in order to actually take your brand from an idea in your head to a finished physical product that's actually being sold to your customers. There's a variety of different costs that are associated with launching a brand. First, of course, you have your production costs, right? These are the costs of actually making the garment itself, the sampling costs, the prototyping costs, the shipping costs. This is where most startup entrepreneurs, they stop, right? Their thought process is like, cool, this is the only thing that I need to invest in, and then the sales will just come. Not realizing that you might have research and development costs, you might have design costs, you might have tag packing costs, you might have sampling costs that go beyond the normal sampling costs. You also have a actual cost of delivering the product to your customer. So what does this mean? This means the cost of marketing, the cost of acquiring your customer, the cost of honing or harnessing that customer so they actually make a sale, the cost of delivering to that customer, the cost of after sales service, the cost of marketing, the cost of influencers, the cost of actually going after that customer. What you do is you shoot yourself again in the foot when you don't clearly understand how much of a financial investment that you need. I'm not saying here that you need to invest millions and millions of dollars to make a brand successful. Many have done a great job with minimal resources, but at least they understood what their investment needed to be. They put their plan together, they outlined what are the costs, and they outlined the potential returns. When you understand the potential costs and you focus on what the returns will be, you are in a state of empowerment to understand that my business needs XYZ, but it can create ABC. Make sure you understand your costs, plan ahead of time, and set your margins and set your prices accordingly. One thing that I did when I started my brand, Spectre, is I actually did a bill of materials. A bill of materials is basically a sheet that has all of the different components of your product. I put in my fabric cost, I put it in my labor cost, I put it in my stitching cost, my cut and sew cost, everything that is associated with the product itself. And then I added in a cost to acquire customer. I basically estimated based on market data what I knew to be a sort of not conservative or a very conservative estimate of what it would cost me to acquire a customer. I added that in. I added in the cost to deliver to the customer. What would it cost me to warehouse the product, to pick and pack the product, to actually ship the product out? And then I had my cost of goods sold, and I was able then to create my net profit based on that and invest accordingly. Number 3 is that you lack a go-to-market strategy. This is akin to the marathon runner who's trained all his life or has trained for the last season in order to run a beautiful marathon, right? He's bought the right kit, he's bought the right gear, he's been training every single day, but then race day arrives and he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where the race is at. This is the same thing with a go-to-market strategy. When you have the product, when you've put in all the effort, all the time to create a USP, to actually deliver the product, to have it in your hands, to be ready to sell, and then all of a sudden you don't know how to deliver it to the customer. You don't know actually how to market to the customer, how to find the customer, how to communicate to the customer, how to tell the customer this is the product that you want. Then, well, you could have created the best product in the world. You could have had the best vision in the world, but you don't know how to communicate the value of what you're creating to the customer. Having a go-to-market strategy means, what content am I creating? Where am I launching my appearance, or where am I announcing my presence to the world? How am I actively engaging my customer? How am I creating that pipeline of potential customers, and how am I harnessing and creating that relationship with my customer? So as someone who has helped hundreds of brands create their own go-to-market strategy, the easiest thing that I would say is create a campaign. Know when your launch date is at. Create a 3A's campaign. One where you announce, the second where you actually create anticipation, and then the third where you attack. So you want to announce, you want to tell people this is when you're going live. These are when the products are going to be. This is what the key selling points of these products are. Then you want to create anticipation. You want to get them excited. You want to show them that they're going to get something they've never gotten before. And then you want to attack. You want them to understand, where can they purchase the product? When can they purchase the product? How much does it cost? You want to be able to actually take them through that purchasing process. That is what an effective go-to-market strategy means and what it entails. Number 4 is that you fail to plan till after the first step. So you put in all this time, all this effort, and then you launch. Maybe you have an amazing launch, right? The idea is, if you've been watching Fittdesign TV, you're going to have an amazing launch. But the next launch, well, you haven't prepared for it. You haven't put the wheels in motion to actually have collection number 2, collection number 3, collection number 4. And then you find yourself in this rat race where you're sort of always behind the gun. You're always behind the 8 ball, and you're never able to make up enough time. This is why I recommend customers and brands, when they're starting off, to create 2 to 3 collections in advance. You don't have to invest or manufacture the products for those collections, but you understand that on average, from an idea in your head to a physical sample, it takes pretty much 3 to 4 months. That's without the production time. Some companies can come in there and tell you sample in 30 days. Amazing, but what can go wrong will go wrong. So understand that creating an idea and turning that into physical reality takes 3 to 4 months. Plan in advance so that once you sold out of your initial products and you actually have customers coming to your website, that you're not paying for traffic that you can't actually fulfill. The last thing that you want to do is to have an amazing brand and to have done all this time and effort, and then customers don't have anything to purchase from your website because they've already purchased everything there is to purchase. So plan in advance. What I personally do is I work with different brands to help them plan a year in advance. Maybe they're a small brand. Maybe they start off with just 2 collections a year. Well, we'll plan for one every 6 months. We'll say for the first collection we're launching then, and we'll prepare what styles need to go into the collection number 2. That way, at least they have the wheels in motion 6 months in advance. And by the time they launch their first collection, they have an idea of what collection 2 is and how collection 2 is going to perform. Number 5 is you get stuck in the sample feedback loop. So when you create a prototype, it can be an exciting time in the process of creating your brand. You actually have a physical manifestation of your design and your vision, but you notice some mistakes. And then you get into this loop of, you make a sample and you get frustrated. So maybe you go to another supplier and you make another sample and it's not perfect. So you get frustrated, and you go to another manufacturer and you made a third sample and you get frustrated. I've seen so many brands fall into this trap of trying to achieve perfection. And what they don't realize is, no matter how good your tech pack is, that there might be some issues that you have to face, some challenges when it comes to the fabric, when it comes to the fit, when it comes to the small details that you can't really flesh out even in a very detailed tech pack. You built up that trust, you built up that sort of overhead of having to deal with setting up a tech pack, engaging a manufacturer. Just when everything is about to click into your place and you can make a decision to say, yes, this is a good product, I want to move forward with it, you sort of let the house of cards waddle away and you move on to the next one, and you keep repeating this vicious cycle until you've spent so much money, so much time, so much effort that you're frustrated and you don't want to move forward. My best recommendation would be stick to a quality, reliable manufacturer. When you have a sample, a prototype, make sure you have a quality tech pack. It has everything that you need to have in order to have a good first sample. Sure, it might not be perfect, but at least you'll get 85 to 95% of the way there. Maybe you need to adjust the fabric. Maybe you need to adjust some of the fits. But as long as the quality is there, as long as the reliability of the manufacturer is there, as long as no major stupid mistakes have been made, then look at this as a positive sign. Mistakes happen. What can go wrong will go wrong. Take it from me as someone who has made thousands of samples. I've done every single mistake in the book, and I know what it takes to move a product forward. You just need to iterate. You need to find someone you trust and work on making it perfect. In my experience, a good quality tech pack and a good quality manufacturer, you should need no more than 2 prototypes before feeling 100% confident to move into production. So if you're finding yourself with more than 2 prototypes. It could be either a you issue or a manufacturer issue. In my experience, it's pretty much a you issue. So make sure you're checking yourself. Number 6 is brands underestimate the importance of brand identity. So what is brand identity? Brand identity is the cumulative effect that a brand has on a consumer experience over time. If you're a customer of Fittdesign, you know that Fittdesign stands for reliability. You know Fittdesign stands for efficiency, for speed. Fittdesign stands for innovation, for technology, right? You know this because you've experienced our brand in different ways. You might have experienced it on YouTube. You might have been a customer of ours. You might be someone who's a member of the channel. You might be someone who follows us on Instagram. You know what the brand represents because there's been a consistency in our messaging and our vision over the last 7 years. You as a company need to build a brand identity, to know what you stand for and to be consistent in it, to be consistent across your product range, to be consistent across your marketing, to be consistent across your website, to be consistent across your social media, with what influencers you choose to be a part of, with what digital media you choose to put out there. Brand identity is everything. This is why Nike can charge $100 for a t-shirt with a swoosh on it, and you might find a Alibaba supplier struggling to charge $5 to $10. This is the idea of branding. What is so magical about that swoosh that all of a sudden we're willing to pay 10x the price that it costs us to make? This is the power of brand identity. So how does one create brand identity? Well, number one, you have to understand what you stand for, and you need to be able to communicate that to customers consistently across the different platforms and the channels that you're on. Number 7 is that you neglect quality control. When you work with an overseas manufacturer, the final step is the bulk production step. And this can be the most exciting, but also the most anticipated and most anxiety-inducing step. Once your manufacturer is done with your products, you need to ask for a quality assurance report. Quality assurance report will have 3 core things. Number 1, it'll make sure that the measurements that they actually have made, so the physical measurements of the products as they are in the finished production, are within tolerance to your agreed upon sizing chart. You don't want to receive your products and all of a sudden, maybe the medium fits, but maybe the XL doesn't fit because they've just used the wrong measurements. Create a sizing chart in your tech pack. Agree on these sizings ahead of time. And then once you have the finished production, ask them to provide you a full sizing chart to ensure that every single measurement has been followed across the different sizes. That's 1. 2, make sure that you create a list of different things that are non-negotiable. So your products should not smell like smoke, or they should not smell like chemicals. They should have a specific and pleasant odor. They should not have any rips. They should not have any tears. They should be able to withstand some level of wear and tear, some level of pilling. The actual garments should be wash tested. The prints should be made to make sure that they actually are able to withstand a specific heat and a specific temperature and a specific amount of washes over a specific period of time. There are a variety of different certifications that you can ask for that ensure that manufacturers comply with quality control standards. One major thing that you need to understand is you as an entrepreneur are in charge of the quality that you receive. If you don't tell manufacturers what quality that you want them to give you, then you're going to find yourself in a difficult position when it comes time to actually telling them, listen, the quality that we agreed on, well, you haven't provided me with that quality. Well, if you don't have anything that shows what you've agreed on, a production contract or some sort of quality control agreement, then how can you actually go back and tell them if they've done their job or not? Number 8 is that you ignore customer feedback. So you've done a phenomenal job, you launched your brand, you're making sales, but customers have feedback, right? They always do. Maybe your products fit a bit too tight. Maybe they're a bit too loose. Maybe they don't like the fabric. Maybe the fabric is too hot. Maybe it's not high quality enough. Maybe your prices are too expensive. Maybe your customer service is trash. All of these things are ways that customers are always mirroring back to you your weaknesses and where you need to improve. The second you stop looking at what the market needs and what the market is actually telling you to do is the second that you stop seizing the opportunity and the ability to grow. My best recommendation would be definitely control or have focus groups. Reach out to 50 to 100 of your customers in any given season and get on a call with them, get on a meeting with them, maybe do a questionnaire, ask them what their thoughts are, ask them, how did you feel that our previous collection did? What was the quality out of 10? How would you compare us to brands XYZ? What would you say we need to improve on? Even if you feel like you've done a stellar job, ask them to give you their opinions openly, incentivize them to do so, because a lot of customers, even if they've had a decent experience, they may also have some things that they want to tell you about. But if you don't incentivize them to say, listen, I need your opinion because we want to improve, because we value your feedback, then they're not going to do it. Make them feel like they are necessary in the process of actually building the brand. Give them some sort of discount, give them some sort of incentive, put them on a YouTube video, whatever it takes to actually get customers to provide you their feedback. Brands that do this really well really know how to stand out in the market, and they know how to keep their customers engaged and loyal. One of the major brands that I like is Buff Bunny, and specifically Heidi Somers does a phenomenal job of actually getting her customers in a room, asking them what their opinions are, doing focus groups, getting feedback. She's very engaged on social media. She's very engaged on her DMs. She really does a good job of harnessing consumer feedback and helping to tell them, listen, I hear you and we're going to make a change. Number 9 is that you ignore the importance of networking and partnerships. In this social media day and age, in this internet day and age where everything is accessible at your fingertips, what you do is you ignore the fact you need people on your team. You need people to be in your network, to be rooting for you, and you need to root for them as well. Whether it's a good quality manufacturer, whether it's a good quality designer, whether it's a good quality influencer that's going to represent your brand, whether it's a partner, whether it's an investor, do not neglect the value of relationships. Do not stomp on people in order to get your way. Knowing that the way you launch and the way that you appear to people in the first debut collection is going to set the tone for how you actively continue your brand moving forward. There's a very good example of Alphalete. He had put in so much time, so much effort, and so much investment into creating his first batch of products. And then they arrived to him and they were one size too small. There was some weird issue with the sizing, and he had spoken to a mentor, and that mentor told him, listen, how long do you want to be in this business for? Do you see yourself there long term? Do you see yourself creating a legacy brand, a brand that hundreds of millions of people could potentially touch and be a part of? Christian, of course, said yes, and his mentor told him, then don't do it, don't launch, stop, make the product good, make it something that you would be proud to sell. And this shows you the importance of networking, of having people that can keep you accountable, that can keep you in check, and also making sure that your customers, the people that are going to be funding and giving you the lifeblood of your business, can keep you in check. Number 10 is you do not leverage technology, or you do not leverage new developments in the fashion industry. We are at a time where everything is developing at a lightning quick pace, whether it's AI, whether it's digital marketing tools, whether it's design tools. Technology is at the forefront of every single thing that we do. Always be willing to incorporate and to integrate different types of technology into your workflow, whether it's 3D modeling software in order to help you visualize your products, whether it's digital marketing, a new innovative ways to market your product digitally in order to capture a new customer, or to tap into a new niche, or to acquire a customer at a lower cost. Always be willing to look at what's out there and to change up the way that you do things. Business moves at a tremendously fast pace, and if you do not keep up with it, if you have this mindset of I just do something once and then I'm done, then I don't need to touch it, I just have this passive income, I don't need to reinvigorate my way of designing, my way of manufacturing, my way of marketing, my way of integrating with my customer base, then you're going to find yourself, maybe you have a good year, maybe you have a good 2 years, but definitely down the line, there's always going to be someone with a reinvigorated or a new way of looking at things that's going to take the cake when it comes to your competition. So make sure you're always integrating new technologies, you're always on the lookout for new trends, you're always bringing in new ways of doing things and improving things and automating things. My best recommendation would be look at fashion forecasting websites like WGSN, look at where the industry is headed, take in tangible data of where markets are headed, where technology is headed, how technology is going to have a better and more tremendous impact on fashion, and put that into your workflow. Well guys, that's pretty much it. That is a wrap on this episode. That's been my top 10 things that I typically see a lot of startup sportswear entrepreneurs and the mistakes that they make. If you guys disagree with anything I've said, let me know which of the points you disagree with most below. If you've done some of these mistakes yourself, also let me know in the comments below and how you've actually overcome it, or how you are in the process of overcoming it. Also, if you want to speak with me one-on-one, you can leave me a comment below and I will definitely get around to it. Or if you want to speak to me via call or a video call, you can check the link in the description for one-on-one consultation calls every single week. I do have limited slots, but I'd be more than happy if you can book your slot in. I'd be more than happy to take that call with you. So I say this from the very bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fittdesign TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.